Welcome back to another episode of Stay Healthy. I'm your host, Hunter Shannon. We actually have two very special guests, and they're both on the track and field team. One's a race walker, something very unusual, not very popular around the collegiate background, but it's only an NAIA sport, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And our other guest, he is a medium/long distance runner. With our first guest, his name is Nathan Limas. A little bit of background about him. He qualified for nationals in indoor and outdoor last year in 2023. And this year, he hit the A standard for indoor. Later, we'll talk about what A standard means. He is from Iowa. He's part of the track and field team, like I said. Last year, he was ranked 9th in NAIA, and he finished 4th in conference. He missed the cut by 1. It's the top 3 for conference, which is really weird, but oh well. He finished 6th in indoor and outdoor nationals, and last year in outdoor conference, he finished 1st. So far this year, he is sitting 1st in race walk for conference and 4th in NAIA, and rankings are changing soon. Anything I missed?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm pretty good at my job. Our second guest, Paulie, is what we call him. He's actually one of my roommates. His real name is Keller. Funny story. He did not qualify at conference, but he somehow still made nationals. He is the medium/long distance runner. Is there anything else I missed?
Not really. I mean, I'm from small town Iowa, but small town called Irwin, Iowa, about 500 people, so very small. I can go into the story later if you want me to, or I can just tell it now, whatever works for you.
We'll do a little bit later. All right. Because that's honestly a funny story. When we get to one of the questions, you can answer it. All right. So what's your guys' favorite activity on campus? It could be a club activity. It could be a sporting event like football, men's volleyball, women's volleyball. What's your favorite one and why?
I'll start. I mean, I'm really looking forward to men's volleyball starting up. Obviously, I can't go this weekend because it's conference, but after that, I'll be going to most of the games. But I'm also really excited about intramural basketball because I play intramural basketball on the side of running. Probably not the smartest thing, but I do it anyway.
Have fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
I would say probably mine is a lot of the choir and band opportunities, just because I'm a huge composer on the side, but it's really cool to kind of participate in a club that really is student-oriented and really has a lot of volunteer opportunities in the community. So it's really fun.
All right. So next question. This is where you can share your story. How did you get into your medium/long distance? How did you get into race walk, and why Grandview? And share your story of how you made nationals without even qualifying for conference.
All right. So basically, my running career started with cross country in 7th grade. Before that, I played football at 5'4" and 90 pounds or something like that. Trying to play tackle football as a cornerback, it didn't work too well. But so I played tackle football my 5th grade year. And then 6th grade year, I was like, I'm too small to play football anymore. So I took that year off from playing any sort of fall sport and just mainly focused on playing basketball during that time. And then got to 7th grade, decided I should do something during the fall if I wanted to be in shape for basketball. And cross country was really the only other option for me. So I figured I'd start running. Trained very hard, and it sucked. Not going to lie. Training in 7th grade very much sucked.
And what was your training like in 7th grade?
It was like a mile or two a day just to like build a base. But it was like training was very hard around where I live, very hilly and all gravel. So it's very hard to run consistent mileage at a consistent pace because you're going up and down hills every half a mile or so. But so like even now I run in town because it's too hard to run around my house. But then moving on to high school, obviously it bumps up from 2 miles for cross country up to a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. And so I had to add more mileage, which I honestly didn't train for until like my sophomore or junior year because I was busy working on the farm and, well, I really didn't have any motivation because it was running. And then I used to hate track, but I did it because, well, I ran cross country, and it was kind of one of those things where you run one, you have to run the other. So ran track, ran 400s and 800s because that's what I was best at, even though I was not running necessarily fast. So I was running like 2:18 in 8th grade for track for my 800 time, and it wasn't great, but we did set our middle school record in the 4x8, and I think we also set our DMR record for junior high, but I don't even know what that record was.
You want to talk about what DMR means?
So the DMR is the distance medley relay. In high school, it consists of 200s. There's two 200s, and then a 400 and an 800. But up here, it's completely different. It starts with a 1200, and then it goes 400, 800, mile.
And a 1200 and 400s and 800s. You want to explain a little bit more about that too? And a 200.
So for indoor, we run on either a 200 or 300 meter track. So the 1200 would be like 600 meters on a 200 meter, or 6 laps on a 200 meter track, and then 4 laps on a 300 meter track. And then it would be handoff to the 400, which would be 2 laps or 1 1/3 lap, which is very confusing on a 300 meter track. And then the 800 would obviously be 4 laps, or I think it's 2 2/3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the mile is, well, it's a mile. It sucks. 8 laps on a 200 and 5 1/3 on a 300. So all terrible. I hate all of them. Not really. I'm a big 400, 800 guy. But I ran the 1200 last week in the DMR, and it sucked because I cannot run that far. But so on to my story about last year. So I did not qualify for conference because to qualify for conference in my events, it was either you had to go sub 50 in the 400, which is very fast, sub 125, I think, in the 600, and then sub 2 in the 800.
And subs?
Below.
Okay.
Under 2 minutes in the 800, under 125 in the 6, and then under 50 in the 4, which is very fast.
That is very fast.
So I did not qualify for conference, but our 4x8 did. Obviously, we won conference because we had like our top athletes running it. And then they also qualified our DMR, and then they both had like 2 out of the 4x8 runners had individual events that they qualified for at nationals. So when we went to nationals, those 2 that had individual events and the DMR, they did not run the 4x8. So they brought me and one of the other guys on the team to run the 4x8 in their place. So I still got to run at nationals, even though I did not qualify for conference.
All right, now to you, Nathan. Why Grandview, and what made you get into that? Into race walk, essentially.
So to be completely honest, I had no idea what race walk was before I came to Grandview. I was an avid, and still am an avid cross-country runner. I never did cross-country middle school. I just started in high school and fell in love with the sport. And I came to Grandview to become one of the marathon runners and cross-country runners. And it was at the very end of cross-country season last year when one of our former teammates approached me and asked if I wanted to try race walk. And I told him, I have no idea what that is. I'll try it if you want me to. And I tried it, and I did absolutely terribly. My form was awful. I felt terrible. It made no sense to me. But I decided, you know what, I'll just keep working at it and see how it goes. And I did the first meet. As planned, I did absolutely horrifically. I hit the standard. I hit the required time to get to nationals, but it wasn't very legitimate. My form was not very efficient. It wasn't legal in accordance to the race walk rules.
What's the legal movements you have, and what's some of the rules that, like, the basic rules of race walk that people should know?
So there's 2 main rules of race walk that judges look for. One of them being that 1 foot has to be on the ground at all times. And the second being the landing leg has to be straight on impact, past parallel, like when you're walking. And that really is what makes race walking very unique. That's what kind of makes it look silly, like that silly little power walk that you see down the street, like that Sunday stroll.
Gotta get those grandma weights out.
And that's what also makes it so much harder than running, and why it was so harder for me to pick up the sport. It took me 3 months just to figure out how to walk legitimately and within the rules of race walking. But then you talk to other race walkers and it took them a week to figure it out. So that's kind of why I thought it was so fun, because I got to constantly improve on it. And as I found out later, the fitness from it has really helped my running as well, aerobically speaking.
So why did you pick Grandview out of all the other NAIA schools? I know it's probably close to home, but like, why Grandview? And that could be the reasoning why.
Just the reputation of the education department. I'm an education major, and just also the reputation of the distance squad. You know, we were and are a powerhouse in everything that we did, and the atmosphere is just wonderful. We're a family, we take care of each other, and I just love just the teammates here. And I also like that, like you said, the cozy family, the home aspect of Grandview. Everyone knows each other. We all know how we work, when we work, and how we work best. So I just really like that atmosphere a lot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool watching, because I took a class, and one of the people in that class was a race walker, and he showed us the proper mechanics, and no one could figure it out. Like, it looks easy, but it's pretty hard at the same time. Definitely harder than distance, but I'm nowhere near a distance runner.
Oh, I'll completely agree with you on that. Like, I've tried to like kind of race walk with Nathan at one point, and I couldn't do it. My hips were hurting after like 2 minutes of doing it. So it's very hard on the hips and the hamstrings most of the time, unless you're very efficient like Nathan is.
I'm not flexible, so that hamstring thing. Next thing is, what made you stay motivated to pursue race walk or long distance? So what made you stay motivated? Because especially from someone that's running the long distance, I mean, that's going to be tiring at times, and there'll be days where you don't want to do it. So what's that put you above and beyond than other people?
Well, I'll start with talking about this last year, because this last year has been very hard for me mentally, because I started off the summer not knowing if we were going to have a true distance coach, because the ones that we had last year left, which is a whole different deal. I'm not even going to get into that. But so they left, so we didn't truly have a distance coach. We just had our head coach that oversees track and everything. So I was like, I struggled to find the motivation to train over the summer, because I was like, if I'm not going to have a coach, then what good is it going to do for me to train over the summer if I don't have anybody telling me how I can improve? So then I was very hesitant to run over the summer to start. And then once I got into it, I may or may not have been hit in the head with a sledgehammer and had a concussion, and then I was out for 4 weeks of running. So then I had to start from scratch there.
That photo you sent me was
crazy.
He sent me that photo. He was like, I got hit in the head.
Yeah.
And it's just blood is going down his eye.
I sent him a picture. There was blood running from right above my eye all the way down my face. And I sent him a picture of my face, and I was like, you're not going to believe what just happened to me.
I was in the middle of a baseball game. During the break, I was like, you got hit in the head? He's like, I got hit in the head.
I said, you're never going to guess what I got hit in the head by.
I did not figure it out. And
then I told him, I was like, yeah, I just got hit in the head with a 14-pound sledgehammer. He was like, how are you not dead?
Because I was like, no shot. Like, no way. And then he's like, yeah. I was like, how are you not dead? And he's like, I have no idea. He's like, I have a concussion. I don't know how long it took you, because like that was a pretty big gash.
I was out for 4 weeks with no running at all. So that basically reset everything I had done over the summer. So then I had to go into our team camp with like 2 weeks of training. I felt terrible because I jumped straight into full mileage, because I was like, I got to get moving if I'm going to be healthy for cross season. you know how that turned out. But so I went straight into full mileage, got about 2-3 weeks into race season because it was right before our home meet, which is our second meet of the year. So it would have been week 3 of being in meet season, and I got injured. My quad was like, I don't know if it was just strained or what, but it was
Probably strained or a little bit overworked.
Yeah.
A little bit. Just not, you didn't get that full training aspect in the summertime, and you just kind of said, here we go. Time to go on the training.
pretty much. So it was very painful to run, but I knew that I didn't really have a choice because we barely had a full team for cross season anyways. Like, I think we were running, 8 people?
Yeah.
And it's 7 people for a full team, technically. So we only had 1 extra person, and Brian missed a couple of races because he's in the military, so he had to go to training. So then we only had 7, so I had to run. So I ran all of cross season with an injured quad, and then went into our off season, took my break, quad was healed and everything was good. Went into winter break, and then I got bronchitis. Couldn't run again because, it's kind of hard to run when you can't breathe.
Especially out of your lungs.
Yeah. But so then I got through that, trained the rest of the winter training, and then went into indoor track feeling pretty good, ran the first meet, and then my calves were really tight. It's not like an injury, really, but it was just very tight, and I couldn't get it to work out. So I've been running on a very tight calf for most of this season. But it's mainly just one of the things where I'm like, I have to make sure that I am doing what I need to do, and I have to make sure that I'm staying positive even though I'm being injured, because if I'm not positive, I'm not going to work as hard, and if I'm not working as hard, I'm not going to get where I know I need to be. So, I've started way behind this year in all of my sports, but I'm slowly working back up to where I need to be, and I'm getting healthy right now. So hopefully I can keep that through outdoor season and have a good outdoor season, but
Don't look too far in the future. I mean, it's only in February. It's supposed to snow tonight.
I know it's going to be
That's
brutal.
insane.
But
It's supposed to, this week, leading up to this week, 50 degrees. Today, 30 degrees. It's
36.
Supposed to snow tonight, 1 to 3 inches, and then 50 degrees on Friday, 50 degrees or low, I want to say high 40s, low 50s on Saturday, 40s on Sunday, and then 50 to 60 the rest of the next week. So obviously the snow is not going to stay, but
No, but that's Iowa weather for you.
so you could hopefully you don't, but you could get injured near that snowfall.
Especially running outside in it, because we have to warm up outside at the meet. But
That's the most trouble part. So during all that time, just wrapping it up, long story, what made you stay that motivation?
it was mainly a thing where I was like, I know that I want to stay physically fit at least through college, because I know that it's very easy to stop being active and then you gain a bunch of unhealthy weight. And I was like, I don't want to go into my freshman year and gain that freshman 15, freshman 20, whatever you end
I was
up gaining.
freshman 45. I grew a lot.
Yeah, but I went into it, I was like, even coming straight in my freshman year, I was like, I'm going to do some sort of activity in college so that way I can make sure that I'm not gaining that extra weight because I don't need it. So I was like, running is the perfect way for me to keep off the weight because it keeps my metabolism up. So I was like, I'm going to run because they were the first school to offer me to run, which is probably why I came here, the main reason. But it was either them or St. Ambrose. So I chose here because, well, I liked the community feeling more. But came up here and I was like, if I'm going to be here, I'm obviously going to try because I want to at least be decent at what I'm doing if I'm doing it. So then that's where I got full training, like working really hard over the summer because we got like 4 weeks total out of the entire year where we don't have to run. So it's very mentally taxing on your body and everything too. But it's one of those things where it's just like you have to do it if you're going to be involved in the sport. That's what they told me my freshman year. We came in and he was like, if you want to stay on this team and be somewhat successful, you have to run all summer because we get 2 weeks after outdoor and then it's straight into summer training. And it's you run 6 out of the 7 days of the week, every week, all the way through cross season, and then you get a week off all the way through indoor season, and then I think we get a week off after nationals, and then it's straight into outdoor until the end of the season, where we get 2 weeks before we start summer training. So it's very brutal, but it's just one of those things you have to stay positive and keep your goals in mind.
I agree. Now, with you to follow up, that was a great speech.
I know, I'm good at what I do.
Let's hear your speech. What made you stay motivated in a collegiate setting? Not setting. Same thing.
Yeah.
So I come for, I guess, the same reason that he does, for health reasons, and it's really helped bring a sense of integrity in my life. We don't really have a race walk coach or someone who really is a professional race walker here or has that experience. So this entire time, the other race walkers and I have to make our own training plan, have to do our own weightlifting plan, have to organize all that by ourselves. We have to train on our own and everything. And it's been hard. It's been challenging because most of the time we don't train with all the other runners. We train by ourselves. So it really, really depends on how integral we are to our training and if we're willing to put in that extra effort. And ever since I started Race Walk, I've really felt a sense of community with other schools because, Race Walk is, like you said, it's quite unusual. It's not a very popular sport. So I guess finding that sense of community with other people through Race Walk has really been heartwarming, especially since it's very rare to see other race walkers. And especially with cross country, I know that we don't have very many people on the team, like Paulie has mentioned. We don't have very many people. So I guess it's really, a team reason. I'm running for the team. I'm walking for the team. And I guess my motivation lies in that team aspect, right? I'm not only walking for myself, but I'm walking for other team members who maybe they're sick one day. Okay, I'll have to race walk super fast this meet, or I'll have to run super fast. So it's really, I guess more of a team aspect on that side of things.
All right, next question. We'll make this one short.
Yeah, I'll try.
We'll make this one short. What's your favorite memory, past or present, of running? Or walking, or what's your favorite memory in general? Either track, cross country, could be college, could be high school, could be middle school, could be even training. Like, what is your favorite memory?
Definitely not training. Training is brutal by yourself.
Well, you never know. You might have some scenery. You like this is my favorite memory in middle school. I remember running by this lake, and then I was like, oh, the birds are cool and all stuff. So I don't know.
No, my favorite memory was probably indoor nationals last year, just because we just went up there on, what was it, the Tuesday before?
Yeah.
We went up there that Tuesday and then went to the indoor track, got to run around it a couple of times, did a workout around the track, ran mileage around their campus and everything. And we just really had a fun time running with our 6 distance guys that were there, just running around. And every time we saw somebody, because it was at South Dakota State, home of the Jackrabbits. So every time we saw somebody, we'd be like, go Jackrabbits, every time. And it was just, I don't know why we got such a laugh out of that. Probably because it was Carter and Whitty that were with us. But we just got a kick out of it, and we were just having fun and really not focusing on anything too much until a couple of days before. Like, we went up there on the Tuesday. I don't think any of us really talked about running until Thursday. Because, what was it? Friday, Saturday, Sunday for nationals. Yeah, so we didn't talk about anything race related until Thursday because we were just enjoying what was going on around there and just having fun with the team.
Just taking in the moment. I think that's what a lot of people pass, like even like D1 football players or D1 basketball players when they make like March Madness. They overlook everything and they're like, and they don't enjoy the moment. They don't soak it in. And I think where you're getting at is just enjoy the moment because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It could be a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Not for Nathan, but Nathan's going back there for his second year as a sophomore, so he'll be there a lot.
And if you don't know Whitrock. Those two,
Those two are goofy,
they feed off each other.
very much. Like, those two can have any conversation at any time. It doesn't come from anywhere. I don't know how they come up with what they do, but they just start talking, and then it develops into something completely off topic that is insanely out there. Like, it doesn't make sense with anything else. And then they move on to something else that's even more out there. It's crazy.
Just have that connection.
Yeah.
All right, going with you. What's your favorite memory?
I would say mine's also, I'd say I have a tie between a couple. Obviously, mine would also be indoor conference. You know, in high school, I never made, I guess I did make state once.
In conference or nationals?
Probably indoor nationals.
'Cause
That was the first time he had B-dubs.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't have B-dubs until then. But like in high school, I rarely ever made state in anything or any championship in anything. And to go in freshman year of college and have that amazing experience with, like Paulie said, with teammates, having fun, not having the care in the world, and just having the funnest time. It was just so humbling, but also rewarding as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. And probably another one of my favorite experiences was the summer I was able to train with professional race walkers after my experience in outdoor track. And that was also very humbling because it's like, wow, I am really bad at this sport. I need to get better. So having the privilege of meeting those people was a life-changing experience because I was finally able to fix my form, figure everything out, and really dive deep into the race walk community. So,
all right. Quick answers. You kind of hit this last time. Quick answers. How long do you think a nap should be?
Well,
So how important is sleep, and how long do you think a nap should be?
sleep is very important. I can tell you from experience that. So I'm going to tell a quick story. Make it quick because we got to be quick. But so summer my senior year, there was about a 2 or 3 week stretch where I would go to bed at 4 a.m. and then wake up at 6 a.m. to go run. So I was running off of 2 hours of sleep. I would run my 4 or 5 miles, whatever I felt like doing that day. And then I would go straight out to work on the farm. So I would go from 2 hours of sleep to 16-hour work days, and then stay up all night, go to bed at 4 a.m., wake up at 6, and repeat the cycle. So I was not sleeping very good, and I did not feel good. And then at some point during that time, I was taking, I'd get back inside from work at 7, 8 o'clock. I would take a 4-hour nap. Just because I was that tired after working all day.
So leading to the thing.
But yeah, that's where I was heading. But
How long do you think a nap should be?
about a half-hour long nap is about the perfect time, but I don't have time to just take a half-hour nap. So if I am napping, it will be at least an hour. But recommended time, I believe, is 26.
Yeah, 26, 27. Last time we talked.
Yep.
20 minutes.
No.
20 minutes. 20-minute nap.
20 minutes, power nap.
Then how important is sleep, especially for a big event like nationals? How do you
Extremely. I go to bed at 8 p.m. 2 nights in a row before nationals. Every time.
He's been going to bed at 9:30 the last week.
Yeah.
You guys are grinding Mario.
Yeah.
And then wake up at 5 to have breakfast.
This is where your notes will come in. What does your weightlifting / training look like in season and out of season, like off season, preseason, just whatever? What does it look like in season and off season, weightlifting and training?
We actually lift together so we are supposed to lift twice a week as a team. We are supposed to lift on Wednesdays and then on Sundays after the meets, basically, because they don't want us to lift on Friday, have a meet Saturday. So we're supposed to lift on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Does your coach believe in weightlifting before a track meet a day before or the day of, does he think it's a bad thing?
He does not think it's a good thing because they don't want us to lift the day before or the day of.
Maybe not heavy, but like maybe like a quick like little circuit.
That's what I mean. We go in and lift on Mondays before our workouts because we have workouts on Tuesdays. So we lift Mondays before our workouts by ourselves, and then we lift Wednesdays after our workouts. Most of the time by ourselves because most of the people just lift on their own.
They want food.
Well, yeah.
They want food. That's
Food. But,
that's supper time or dinner time. It's food time.
yeah. And then we lift post meet because, well, it's easier when you're tired to put in the work and get more out of it. But
it's called the lima bean effect. So you want to do something where you hate the most and finish with what you like them, you like them. So, for example, I kind of said this to Mello last week. Is you start with abs first because it's the last thing you always want to lift, and then you end on the good thing. So you kind of like work your exercise backwards. Because let's say, like, I saw a video. He's like, imagine you have a plate of chicken nuggets, French fries, and lima beans. What are you going to go first? Obviously, the chicken nuggets, and then the fries, then the lima beans. Why don't you go for the lima beans first and then finish good? So start with the abs first, and then end with your good lifts because might as well get that done when you're fresh because at the very end, you're not wanting to do that. You're going to pack your bags and go home.
But as runners, we like core. We enjoy core. Yeah. So for us, it's more of lifting legs after a hard workout that we don't want to do.
Yeah, so your very first thing, and then doing your core workout, the very last thing, treat yourself, kind of like that dessert.
The dessert after the lima beans.
But what does it look like? So you're weightlifting and all that stuff. This is in season right now.
Yeah.
What do you do out of season? Like when you're home or when track just ended or indoor?
Trick question. There is no off season.
Oh.
But it's mainly like, it's mostly just maintaining. It's not really any muscle gaining.
You're a farmer's boy.
Yes, sir. But there is, I could talk about that too if you want. Because
any type of weightlifting you do.
Oh, there is a full week in the middle of July, the hottest week of July most of the time.
So towards the end, a little bit of the end, beginning of August, somewhere around there.
Yeah, but it's like, so we bale our own hay and straw. So there is an entire week where we are throwing 1,000 bales a day, and they all weigh like 60 pounds.
Light work.
Yeah. Throwing 60-pound bales 8 stories is light work. But
only for 1,000 bales a day.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, if only.
But so that whole week, I go from running my 5, 6, 7, whatever mileage they give me. I go straight from that. And then I go out to work because we start throwing bales at 6 o'clock in the morning, so that way we get done before it gets really hot. So I go from running at 5 o'clock in the morning to throwing bales at 6 o'clock in the morning through like 11 o'clock because it takes the whole morning to throw these bales. And then we go eat, and then I just kind of do whatever needs done around the farm. But that's just for 1 week of my lifting. I don't lift extra during that week because of it. And then the rest of the week, it's like lift 2-3 times a week, just maintaining and making sure that I'm keeping my body moving, but nothing heavy.
You kind of did hit what your training looks like. What's your favorite part about training?
Honestly, probably when I get done. Like, okay, that sounded worse than it was meant to. But
you're done because you feel the accomplishment, like something like that?
Like, especially during that week where we're throwing bales, throw the bales, get done running, go into the house, and I take a nice shower, and then I just feel so much like I feel very relaxed after that because it's like I just worked very hard for a very long time, and then to go inside, shower, get all the straw dust and hay dust and everything off of me, and then I just feel so much lighter. It's just a really nice feeling to just have the rest of the day to just do smaller, lighter work.
Gaming.
Yeah. No, not during the summer. During the summer, I get about 3 hours a night where I'm not working, like either working or sleeping. I have about a 3-hour window there because I work from 6 a.m. during that 1 week. I work from 6 to about 8, 9 o'clock. And then I obviously am going to bed at like 10:30, 11 most of the time. So I go inside, eat, get ready to go to bed, because I don't have time to do much else. But
All right. What about you, Nathan? What does your training look like in season, off season, or out of season? And what does weightlifting look like? Because for race walking, it's probably a little bit different unless you don't weightlift for race walking.
Yeah, it's very complex. So in season, I do weightlift. Like you said, we weightlift together. It's not heavy stuff. It's mostly just injury prevention because obviously as a race walker, it's more efficient. There's less foot impact.
You want to talk about some of your weightlifting to prevent the injuries? Because it's
Yeah.
probably a little bit different from a long distance. Like, you're probably going to work a little bit more on your quads and your hamstrings and maybe some of your calves. So the same thing with race walking.
A little bit, except I focus more on my core. Like I do a lot of like isometric stuff, some eccentric stuff as well.
Want to talk about that? Can you? Do you know what that is?
Yeah. So I know for me, especially as a race walker, I usually do a lot of form drills that usually focus more on the core aspect of race walking. Because obviously, if you race walk 15 miles, your tummy is going to be a little bit upset, a little bit. So strengthening that core is extremely important. Like line walks, where you hold your arms out like a T, and then you race walk on that line, keeping your feet in front of each other while trying to hold your balance. It doesn't sound very hard, but when you do that 8 to 10 times, it can be extremely challenging. And that also helps with a lot of your balance work. That'll help a lot with balance. And that's really one of the biggest issues a lot of race walkers have. And that's one thing I focus on in my training is with balance. Race walk is pretty much just not only just a beauty contest, but really a balancing act as well. If you're not balanced, if your core is strong, if you're not balanced, race walk is extremely difficult, and it's really about coordination. So in the summer, out of season, I do a lot of long walks, longer, slower walks to focus on form, to focus on efficiency. And what I mean by long walks, I mean 15 miles upwards to 25, 26 miles in the summer for long walks. Workouts are very fast and heavy mileage workouts are extremely important as well. I don't do very much interval training until in season, just because obviously you don't want to burn out for cross country. And that gets even more crazy. In cross country, I do a dual training plan where I do both running and race walking because there's championships in cross country for race walking and cross country. So trying to find that balance can also be difficult. That's why doing a lot of that weight training with Paulie is extremely important. One, it keeps you disciplined, but also it keeps you, injury-free in the long run. And I know in the summer, I don't weightlift very often. I do weightlift like once or twice, but it's mostly just circuit work. And that's about it.
Next thing, going a little bit more deep and a little bit more personal. What was the hardest challenge you had to overcome? Race walking or personal life or cross country? For you, injuries or personal life?
definitely the injuries over this last year. Yeah. Especially with that concussion to start off the year. It made it very challenging to do really anything. But the main thing that I was doing during that time, once I was like not dying from a concussion, but pretty much as soon as I was like able to properly think again, it was a lot of telling myself that I need to stay positive because I know I have work that I have to do. Not to mention, as soon as I could, I was back working again. But it was one of those things where I had to keep telling myself that, like, you have to stay positive. You have to make sure that you're doing everything that your body needs to get yourself where you need to. And then it was also a lot of making sure that I was being extra careful because I was just coming off of a concussion. So I was like making sure that I was not putting my head anywhere that could be potentially dangerous. But that was about it.
My question is, what did your girlfriend say about that? Or what did she do?
Oh, that goes a lot deeper than I think you want to know. But I'll just say this. It was her brother that hit me in the head with the sledgehammer. So she was not very happy about that. But
That sounds pretty funny though.
yeah, it was very funny. And then I gave him a lot of crap about it too, because we was hitting it was a piece of our rake, our old piece of our rake, because it broke, so we had to change that and fix that. That was a 3-week process, but
a little bit longer now to get it guys in.
yeah, but he was putting that on a race car because my family, their family, a couple of our friends, they do figure 8 racing over the summer. So we were putting a bumper on one of our friends' cars, and he was hitting it with the sledgehammer while I was heating the frame of the car because he had rolled that car before without a bumper. So we had to heat the frame so that way we could drive the bumper in. And I was heating the bumper. He was swinging at the bumper to drive it in. He misses over the top of it, and it hits me right above the eye. So it was
a mess.
Yeah, to say the least, it was a mess.
All right, what about you, Nathan? What's the hardest challenge you had to overcome? Either race walking, cross country, high school, personal life. What was the biggest challenge you had to overcome?
Probably for this year.
Any year. It could be any year.
Okay.
Any. It doesn't have to be this year. He just was injury prone this year.
Yeah, this year was brutal for me.
It could be any year. It could be even when you're 5 years old. It could be anything. What was the hardest and most difficult challenge you had to overcome?
For me, I guess it would just be race walk wise, just being extremely flexible and patient with training and racing and everything.
I'm definitely not flexible still.
I found it very funny watching you try to be flexible the first time you tried.
So for patience, I guess, as a race walker, going back to when we started, it's an unusual sport and not very popular, which as a result means that there is almost no races available for us race walkers. I know for indoor track season, the most races that we get with race walk is 3, and that's including conference, and that's out of like 10 meets. So, and half the time, at all of these races, we're the first event. So we're done after the first event. We don't do anything. So
one and done, baby. That's all it takes.
Yeah. So
not this week.
Not this week. But especially in cross country, there was a lot of opportunities for me to go race walk, across the country, but I couldn't because, I had other things I had to do in cross country.
Had to run because we only had 7 people.
Yeah. So, and there's been a lot of opportunities that were open to me, but I had to miss just because I had other obligations. And obviously it gets really frustrating, training by yourself, literally by yourself at a completely different track across the city. It can get
darn school.
Yeah. It can get frustrating and really, sad. You've been training for so long by yourself. You're ready to get out there and race, but then you have to wait 5 or 6 months just to get to that race. And then, what if you do bad? What if you miss standard? Or what if you race walk like 2 times worse than you thought you were going to race walk? But then you have to wait a month later just to do one more race. It gets really scary because then, you only really have one shot at that point, where runners in track, they have hundreds of shots to get to nationals, a lot of opportunities. Race walk just doesn't have that. And it's just, a little jarring to go from conference to nationals and have no other opportunities. So it's really been humbling to really have a lot of opportunities in the summer and in season with race walk. So that's something that I really kind of struggled with, is just being flexible and patient with my schedule and everyone else's schedule, and really not taking all those opportunities for granted.
Before we move on to the next question, I want to talk about what A standard and B standards means, because I forgot to ask that earlier. That one's my fault. I'll take the blame. Not a great host.
So basically, your A standard and your B standard are your qualifying marks for nationals. A B standard means that basically you have qualified for nationals, but you're not fully guaranteed to make it. Because I think, what is it for each team? They're allowed to take 2 B standards or 3?
Yeah, so for each gender, male, female, in track that is recognized, coaches are allowed to take 3 men and 3 women who have hit B standard, like on their team as a whole. So if you pick 3 throwers who hit B standard to go, you can't pick anyone else. So it's overall, like men and women.
Yeah. And then your A standard would be your automatic qualifiers. If they hit the mark, they're going to nationals. That's how that works, basically. But for running especially, and even race walk, actually race walk got slower this year
Yeah.
for standards, which is very rare. But for running, the standards get faster every year. So this year for my events, qualifying for A standard in the 400, you had to run a 48.7. And then for your A standard in the 600, it had to be a 120.7. And then for the 800, I believe you had to be 155 or 153 for A, something like that. So,
Moving.
yeah. I think moving is an understatement right there.
Yeah.
What about race walk?
Race walk standards, like you said, they're getting slower. And unfortunately, that's not because we're getting slower. It's because, again, for the fifth time, it's not very popular. And a lot of coaches don't necessarily advertise it. So obviously, NEIA, the organization, they have to care about the profits. So they focus more on the running events and not really on the race walk events. And what's the easiest way to get people to do race walk? Let's slow down the standards by a minute, literally. So the standards A standard for race walk went from about 14 flat, which is for 3K, which is pretty quick, and it's now about 1450. And B standard went from, I think, 1620 all the way up to 18. So it got slower by a minute in 40 seconds. So I don't anticipate them getting any faster. So if you want to get to nationals, do race walk. It's getting slower. So
What was your time?
13:28 as of right now.
So, and you're sitting at 4th in the nation.
Yeah.
Could be first pretty soon.
I think you would have been at the last one, but
Yeah.
the lap counter kind of messed up at the last meet.
Yeah, I was on pace for sub 13, which would be a number one time, but guy rang the bell too early.
Gosh darn bell ringers. Who's your biggest influencer? Could be anyone in the world.
LeBron James. No.
I want to play basketball, so it's LeBron.
Yeah. No, but it was probably my mom because she was a college runner. She's the one who told me that I should run cross country my 7th grade year. She's the one who told me that I should run track after basketball season to stay in shape. She's basically the one who coached me through junior high because they didn't give us training plans through high school at all. We just had to do everything on our own. But she's the one who basically told me what to do each day for 7th and 8th grade year. And then they kind of gave us like training stuff for high school, but not really.
It was just run.
Yeah, pretty much. It was run enough mileage to where you can compete when we get into season. And then she's also she's obviously my number one supporter. She comes to pretty much all of our meets. She missed one meet so far this season because she had to work because it was a Friday meet.
Gosh darn it, Mom.
Yeah. But she pretty much shows up to everything, and it's really good to have that support for me, especially with the year I've been having, because it's been very tough mentally, and just having people showing up for me and supporting me, it really helps me stay positive.
Mm-hmm. And especially with all the classwork that we've been getting loaded on is
First half of the semester is just crazy.
Yeah. You guys have time to play Mario, but it's like an hour and a half, and that's your free time. And I'm like, all right, going to bed.
Yep.
What about you? Who's your biggest influencer?
I'd say I have two. I'll make it quick.
Okay.
One for cross country, one for race walk. For cross country, my biggest influencer was my chemistry teacher in high school.
Do you want to go into that?
I would say I didn't do cross country in middle school. I did in high school. I sucked really bad at literally every single sport. I tried every single sport available. I tried soccer. I tried baseball. I was okay at baseball, but didn't like the coach. I tried baseball, soccer, even tried football, but at the same time, I was a bigger kid back then, literally. But nothing really fit for me. And one day I looked at the clipboard. We had little clipboards with little advertisements for sports in our high school. I looked at one of the clipboards and one of them said cross country. And this was a freshman year. And I was like, you know what? I have no choice. I'll try it. I got to do something with my high school career. So I joined cross country, and believe it or not, the coach was my high school chemistry teacher. And he really kind of led the path for me for cross country and just running as a whole. And I really wanted to quit cross country so bad. I hated it. Running, it's really not that fun sometimes.
This is true.
It's really bad. It sucks.
Especially once it gets cold.
Yeah, it's really hard, and sometimes I question why I'm in this sport a lot.
It's a daily workout thing.
Yeah, and
Love-hate relationship.
Yeah, pretty much.
but my chemistry teacher was always there to really support me. If I felt horrible, he'd be there. If I did really bad in a race, he'd be there. And he's also the reason why I want to be a chemistry and biology teacher in the future. He was just really that father figure to me, and it was wonderful. And he even supports my race walk career. He actually likes race walk. Oh my gosh, finally. But he loves race walk too, so he's also supporting me in that as well. For my race walk,
Hold on, what's his name?
Brad Diedick.
Thanks, Brad Diedick.
Brad Diedick. There's no dedication without Diedick.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Was that your high school slogan?
Yeah.
for running?
I stick to that.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
He got one of the best race walkers coming in the country.
Yeah.
So he'll win nationals for you. If he doesn't, blame him.
Oh no, he's winning. He's winning this year.
And then I'd say my my race walk influencer. Wait, influencer. Yeah, race walk influencer. Okay.
Is me.
Yeah, it's Paulie.
Only one answer.
He has been very helpful, I would say. But truly, my truly most favorite race walker person of all time is Johan, my race walk coach that I met in the summer. He fixed everything for me. As I said before, it took me 3 months to figure out race walk, and I will be honest, Paul, you can attest to this. My form was kind of bad. It was kind of terrible.
Kind of dog water, isn't
It was
it?
it was kind of awful.
It was not great.
It was legal, but it was really ugly, and I'll get to that in a sec. But I met Johan at a clinical, and he's a professional race walker. He has the 50K world record right now for the race walk, which is 31 miles. Race walking 31 miles at 6:15 mile pace. That's absolutely insane. As a 45-year-old, I must mention. But he...
Slow.
It's only what I run 8Ks in my pace.
Yeah, and I met him at a clinical in France, actually. He invited me there after outdoor nationals, and he was like, you know what? I'll pay for your hotel. I'll buy you shoes. You did really well as a freshman. I'll teach you all the goodies. And I was like, you know what? I'll take the opportunity. And I did. And it was a full, I think it was like 3 weeks of him and I walking with other race walkers. And again, I learned how much I really sucked at this sport. And it'll get better eventually. But he really taught me a lot of not only race walk lessons, but a lot of life lessons as well that go with race walk. His slogan that he goes by is embrace the walk ugly, and do the dance. And the dance part is just about technique and everything. There's this little dance he always did. He showed me, and he had us practice it for about an hour. And since then, my form's been pretty good ever since. That's a whole different can of worms, but
should see that difference in between the videos that I've taken.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's a weird pedagogy, but it really helped me in my career, and he's been a really good influence. He speaks fluent French, hardly any English, but to this day, he still sends me race walk training plans. He still sends me advice. He still talks to me via email, text, whatever. We still talk a lot. And he's been such a good influence just in my life, and even in other race walkers' lives. So
You're gonna go visit him this summer?
Hopefully, that'd be great.
You gotta show him the national championship
Yeah.
medal. Oops, maybe if I type my password in right. So that's where my notes are at. What does mental health mean to you? Kind of go on the mental health side. What does it actually mean? You kind of mentioned it, like your mental health wasn't good because of all the injuries. What does it mean to you? I know we held the event of Movember for the Kinesiology Club, and you went to it and you got that free shirt. You got that free merch.
Yeah, all about the free shirt. But it's very important to me. I mean, as I've already said multiple times, I mean, once something goes wrong, it's very easy to get discouraged and lose all motivation to do anything. So it's very important to focus on making sure you stay positive, making sure you do what you need to do to stay healthy, And then if
Hey, you said the word. You said the word.
I did say the word.
It's a Family Guy
Words.
reference.
Words.
It's a Family Guy reference.
But
All right, he said it.
but you got to make sure you do what you need to do. And I mean, even when you are injured, it's very important to do what you need to do to get back to being healthy, because once you get out of it, and if you don't force yourself to get back into it as soon as you can, you're going to lose motivation and you're not going to get back into it. And then you have to fight the battle every year of saying, like, I need to get back into this, and then going and trying it for a little bit and then getting tired of it again. And so basically, it's one of the most important things for me when it comes to competing is making sure that my mental health stays good, because once the mental health stays good, the physical health goes, and then it's just not good at all for anything. So just got to make sure that it's up there.
What about you? What does mental health mean to you?
It is extremely important, especially as race walkers, fellow race walkers unite. So I can't tell you how many times I've been either catcalled or called names on the street for, I've had things thrown at me. Sometimes I'll just see some random person walk out from their garage in underwear videotaping me because they're like, oh my gosh, what is that? But, it's really, it's scary sometimes. And, seeing all that, it really has exposed me to, how, lucky I am to be able to race walk a lot and not allowing all of those things to kind of get in my head. And, especially in race walk, if you are not mentally there at all, it can mean the difference between walking, say, 13 and a half minutes in 3K to 15 minutes.
Or DQ'd.
Or getting DQ'd, yeah. If your form is not legal enough. It is so, so important, especially if you're the only race walker on the team and you're just training by yourself and you have those experiences, and it can really be a huge demotivator in the training season. And especially in the championships season if you're going by yourself. So it's extremely important, not only for competing, but also in the classroom and just in general.
What are some activities you do if you're struggling with mental health?
Well, first of all, I go for a run. If you couldn't guess.
Are you a runner?
Because, running gives me a chance to, work it out, basically. Because that's one of the things that I like to do is if I am, hurting mentally, I go put myself through physical pain.
I can see it just running down, just punching the air, be like,
punch a wall or something. But no, I just like to, if I'm feeling down mentally, I just go basically run a tempo. Even my long run last weekend, which I turned around and biked 7.5 miles with Nathan afterwards because he was walking.
Nathan.
But I basically tempoed that run because I was my mental state was not great because I ran terrible last weekend. It was a very bad meet for me, so I was very down. So I was well, if I run hard enough during this long run, I'll feel better. So then I went, and I don't think I had a single mile that was at recovery pace. And then turned around and biked 7.5 miles with Nathan, and then I felt a lot better. But other than that, I like to just decompress by gaming, which, I game with you, I game with Nathan, I game with a bunch of different people.
Gosh darn Rockwall, dude.
God dang. That thing made me so mad. That thing was probably worse for my mental health than what.
There'd be times where I had to toss my controller. I was like, dude, I'm done.
Yeah.
We had to look up tutorials. I was like, this doesn't help.
No, it doesn't, because you have to make the jumps anyways. But other than that, really just sometimes I'll just sit in silence. Just sit there, try to think about absolutely nothing, go into my nothing box, if you will, and just sit there and just zone out and just be there.
Quick, what's worse for your mental health, that rock wall or Creighton losing?
The rock wall. That thing made me so mad. Creighton losing is starting to become normal because if one person doesn't shoot good, then the game's over. But the rock wall...
It's undefeated right now.
Yeah, I went back and tried it again a couple nights ago and it's still beating me.
How about you, Nathan? What are some activities you do if you're struggling mentally?
I would say, composing music.
He already wrote me a song.
Yeah, composing music. It's a whole different can of worms. But like Paulie said, running or walking. Though I do face a lot of those events, the name calling or whatever. But at the same time, it's very, I guess, empowering because it's like I'm doing something that isn't really familiar with a lot of people. So it's kind of a confidence booster, if that makes sense. And long walks, oh my gosh. Okay, not the one that we did. That
That one was brutal.
That was kind of terrible. That felt awful. But generally speaking, most long walks that I do are so relaxing. Just a time, 2 hours is kind of long, but 2 hours of just decompressing, figuring things out, telling yourself, wow, I'm getting a lot better at this. I feel like I'm really improving in the sport a lot. It's so fun to just, decompress for 2 to 3 hours on a long walk. And sometimes you meet people on trails that, ride bikes or are also running, and you can just wave hi or something. So it's really nice to kind of just be in that chill environment.
Just be out there with nothing
Yeah.
for an hour.
Yeah, and then you complete, and it's cool because then you complete this really long walk or this long run or something. You're like, wow, I was relaxing and I did something really hard.
Especially that last long walk.
Yeah.
Because you told me when I got to you and turned around with you that you were about to stop and start
Yeah,
jogging.
I almost stopped. I felt terrible, and that was after a really good and bad meet. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can do this. And I see Paulie in the distance on the bike. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna keep going. And
you gotta do it now.
yeah, we finished very hard and strong, and it felt really, really awesome. And I felt like it was a very big accomplishment.
All right, we're getting pretty close to the end. I mean, this is kind of the last long question. You're a freshman last year. You're a freshman 2 years ago. Besides your sport, what does a healthy friendship look like, and how do you make friends? Besides using track and cross country.
Well, for me, it basically started because I knew Gary.
And Gary's a good friend of ours.
Gary knows everybody on campus, and he graduated last year, but he still probably knows 90% of campus.
Yeah.
But
I'm the 90.
yeah, yeah. But I basically would go with him whenever we went to the caf. I would go with him around campus if he just wanted to go for a walk or something. I'd go with him because I had nothing better to do. But I just go with him, and the amount of times that we would take 3 steps out of the door and we would already be stopped talking to somebody is crazy. And then that mixed with, well, gaming, because I play games with 6 or 7 different people on campus that I would not have met if it wasn't for gaming so obviously I know a lot of the bowlers. I had a roommate on the shooting sports team last year, so whenever he had people over, I became friends with them. That's how I met 2 of them that I play with a lot on Rocket League, because I play tournaments with Braden and Xander. Xander's Braden's roommate. Braden was on the shooting sports team with my roommate. So basically, I just follow this chain all the way down, and then I know a lot of people that I know more people on campus than I thought I ever would coming to college, just because I meet somebody, and then I meet the people that they meet, and then it just goes from there. But it's a lot of making sure that it stays to where you're not really, I don't know what the best word for this would be, but can't be making fun of each other too much until you get to the point where you're good enough friends that it won't affect the friendship. Like me and Braden, it took a while for me to start actually talking to him how I like to talk to my friends, because I'm like, if I say this too soon, he will start to hate me very quickly. But now we're to the point where I low-key bully him, but it's it's not true bullying because it's all joking around, and he knows it's joking. He says the same stuff back to me, so
That's why you guys lose at Rocket League all the time.
yeah, because Braden sucks. No, he's actually not that bad, but it's just one of those things where you gotta know who you're with, and then know their personality, know your personality, and then find common ground, basically.
What about you?
I'd say a lot of my friendships, true friendships, have come besides track and cross country and whatnot, come from my major. We have a decent education department, and with that comes a lot of education majors. Now, I'm only 1 out of 3 science education majors currently at Grandview, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but those
That's a
three,
lot.
yeah,
Makes for a very
Grandview.
tight community, too.
Yeah, for Grandview, that's a lot.
We only have like 1,300 kids enrolled on campus. So, I mean,
Yeah.
33 is a lot.
And I mean,
Do the math. I mean,
game
that's
design.
5%.
Game design last year, Gary was the only major in game design.
I think there's 2 this year. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
which is a lot for that department.
it is. But it's cool at the same time.
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
make games.
literally.
And I
It's in
think
its name.
I think in education, there's like, I don't even know, like 50 people in it, and out of that, only 3 are science, and the rest are all like PE, and then like and then like elementary, which
I
is
mean,
awesome.
It makes sense thinking about the fact that our campus is 90% student athletes.
Yeah,
Literally.
Yeah, it figures.
And the rest of them are nursing.
Yeah, and those 3 science major friends became 4 science major and elementary major friends, and then it became 5 and 6 and everything. So all those connections became universal, not only just with education. And fun fact, Gary was actually my orientation person freshman year.
He was your
That
group
was
leader.
exciting.
Yeah, he was my person. Yeah, so
Oh, boy.
he met my parents. He met me. He's the one who took me to lunch at the caf at the first time.
Sounds
as
like a
freshman.
date.
Yeah, it was.
Anytime you get to hang out with Gary is special.
Yeah, it was a very special experience.
The amount of random stuff we would talk about on the way to practice every day is crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah, and like Paulie said, it's been like just a never-ending chain of connections. After you meet one person that you become friends with, it just doesn't stop. Like, I know more people at Grandview than I know in my entire high school. I mean, my high school class wasn't very big. We had like 40
It's
people
a
in it.
2A school.
Yeah, we didn't have anyone in it.
We had 48.
Now, see, we had 42 in ours.
Yeah.
So what was your that was your graduating class?
Yeah,
Mine was
42.
119. And I was considered a 3A school. And there was 2 people that walked up there. I was like, I don't know where they are. I was like, I don't know who you guys are. Like,
Your graduating class was half of my high school.
Same. We had 300 people in mine.
oh, but like here's the thing. My class was the last 100 kid graduating class for the next 2 to 3 years. And then I think this year or last year was like 101. So it's like
The biggest class in my
Yeah.
high school when I graduated was 66.
oh, pop off.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's because they had 3 or 4 sets of twins and
Oh, that's why.
2 sets of triplets.
That's why.
Yeah. But I don't know how we got on the topic of a high school graduating class, but yeah.
We're gonna just move along. If we're gonna cut yours short,
Yeah.
we'll move along. What does your playlist look like? Pre-meet or post-meet, or just chill in your room? What does it look like?
Yes.
Okay.
So I listen to a lot of country music.
Oh yeah, like a brother.
No, but when I'm not like doing anything, I listen to a lot of country music. If I'm going to the meet, I like to listen to more like rap or upbeat music just to like get myself in the mood. Or if I'm very nervous for a meet, then I'll listen to country because it's slower and helps me calm down a little bit.
Childhood.
Yeah, but I listen to a lot of different music,
Older or newer? Country.
both. I like
Do you have a favorite artist?
not in particular. I mean, I go basically like by decade basically. So I'm a big fan of like 90s country and then like
90s, 2000s.
Yeah.
By far the best.
90s, 2000s. I kind of group those in one because they're basically the same style. And then 2010s is probably the least favorite of the last 2-3 decades. But then I started listening to new country that's been coming out like the last year or so. And some of those songs, I'm like, they're very good. Like, they have a good message to them that I listen to them for the message. other songs I listen to for the beat. Like if I'm going to a track meet and I'm trying to get myself pumped up for the race, it's all very upbeat, trying to get myself like in the mood to run.
I can see you driving your truck, slouched down, arm on the steering wheel, just bumping country, like yeah, like like it's supposed to be a rap. You're just straight up country. It's like it's
That's my drive home.
Rip Toby Keith, but just Toby Keith just
not even. It's like old 90s country, like Garth Brooks type country, George Strait, and I'm just yeah, you just described my 2-hour drive home.
All right, what about you?
I love classical music. I'm a huge
We know.
classical music. I not only I guess for preemie I listen to music that I write, because usually I like to write music with intended purpose. You know, I love slower romantical classical music. So I say like 1700s to 1800s for classical music. That'd be like Richard Wagner, Rachmaninoff. That'd be, I guess, Liszt if you want to count him as one. But those are artists that I like kind of borrow the style. So, I do like country to add relevance.
Oh, thank you.
To be relevant, I like country. I do listen to country, any country. But I really love classical music, not only because a lot of composers write it with stories behind it. Like if it's the chord progressions, all of them, every chord progression contains a story of some type.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. We're not gonna go the full story.
He likes to listen to my song before he races or something like that.
Yeah. So, time out. The first time I met Nathan this year, he was like, "Listen to this."
I brought him into our room, by the
And
way.
he sang opera. I was like, "This is not you." He's like, "Yes, it is." And then we had a 4-hour talk in my room about classical, and me and Paulie just looked at each other like.
We looked at each other, and then we went,
And then what?
head back, and then Nathan started laughing,
And he's like,
and then he
"What?"
went back into it.
We're like, and then what? Oh yeah, what happened next?
Did you get all that? But
long story short, I love classical music from the classical romantic era of classical music.
Okay, thank you for cutting it short.
Piano classical music.
Okay, we don't want to be here for 4 hours. Thank you.
and jazz.
And jazz music.
And this and this and this. And this.
Ballad jazz music. That one's good too.
All right, Brandon, getting pretty close. Best moments of 2023.
Ooh, 2023.
Could be track, could
That's
be your
hard.
farm, could be anything. Could be anything in 2023. Could we just be done with your sophomore, freshman year?
Getting hit in the head with a sledgehammer.
Oh, that's a pretty good moment.
It was a very funny moment, but probably indoor nationals still. It was just a great time, as I've already probably said 3 times today. But,
It was just super fun.
yeah. But other than that, I mean, just getting to hang out with people, meet new people, just get out there and find new things to do, and just really experience what we have going on around here, you know? Because Des Moines is a big area with a lot of things going on. So,
What about you? Favorite moment of 2023? All year, baby.
yes, sir.
Give me anything.
Oh my gosh.
Going to nationals with me and eating B-dubs.
Honestly though, I would say yeah.
Called it.
Yeah, because like I
Explain
never,
your B-dubs order. For your first time ever.
oh my
How
gosh.
old are you?
He would have
20,
been
20.
Yeah.
I'm 20 now.
He would have been
So
19.
I didn't think about that.
19 years without having B-dubs. I think I was 12, 10, 11. Oh, I don't, young.
I was 10.
Yeah.
My order, I remember it was honey barbecue boneless wings and like 2 baskets of fries. I think, was that it? I think that was it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Honey
And it
barbecue.
took forever because they
Yeah.
were very understaffed. And then our
Oh.
coach yelled at us because it took forever for us to get our food.
Yeah, and then he ended up ordering food there.
And then he
So
got
like
B-dubs.
we were there for like 2 hours. But yeah, that was like the night before I think my race too,
Yeah.
and it made it so much more fun because I was super stressed. It was like I felt awful. I was super nervous. I never, like I said, I never even went to state in high school. I mean, I did, but it, like as an alternate, I never really did anything this big before. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so terrifying. But then I got to de-stress with like Paulie, with some I think Seth Dizer was there as a race walker. with some of the assistant coaches there. It was so much fun. And
The bus driver.
And the bus driver
went too.
Jacob. His name was Jacob. I
Yep.
remember that guy. He was there all year round. He was so chill. He swam in the pool. Oh, he swam in the pool. That was a really terrifying looking pool.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that thing. Oh my god.
I think it was. I would not.
It was
Dirty?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little dirty. But it was so much fun. I got to hang out with all the teammates that I don't normally hang out with. I got to know everybody. I met the throwers for the first time because I never really got to meet them. Now we're good friends. It's so many great memories. I'll never forget that.
You got to go with
experience
B-dubs. You got to go with me and my mom to B-dubs again.
Yeah,
later
twice.
The second day.
That was
Oh
fun.
my god.
So he got to hang out with my mom.
B-dubs, dude.
B-dubs.
Yeah.
All right.
Week.
Next, what's a goal of 2024? It's a huge goal. It could be finishing college, finishing the second semester, winning nationals. It could be not getting ahead. What's the big goal? I'll tell you my goal, so you guys can think about it. Mom, hopefully you're listening. My goal is to get a dog from one of Paulie's farms.
We just had puppies
Yeah,
last night.
that's 6, I think, right?
6 puppies last
Yeah.
night, 2 males, 4 females.
So, Mom, if you're listening, let me get a dog.
Give me that dog.
Hey, I'm going to Madison. There's no one there. I'm just saying, give me the dog.
Dog. Got
right.
that dog in.
So, Mom,
But-
listen, I'm getting a dog. And I'm going to train it, and then you're going to like it.
You will like it.
All right.
I mean, probably qualify in an individual event for conference for outdoor season. I'd like to make it to nationals again at some point.
The true way to nationals or as an alternate way of nationals?
However I can get there works for me. But
Maybe a coach.
at Nathan,
Yeah, I'm free this weekend.
I'm oddly free. I don't know why.
oh no, man. It's almost like after this weekend, there's nothing until nationals.
Literally, yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I want to make Dean's List again, obviously, because, well, academics are important. But
Gosh darn homework. I'm telling you what.
yeah,
I got flooded. I missed 2 weeks of 2 days of stats, which equivalent to 2 weeks, because we left on Friday. We finished 2 chapters while I was gone, and you were with me.
oh yeah, I saw it.
The last day, the day before the test, I was doing 12 hours of stats, and I was like, "Hey, Paulie, look at
Wow.
this." Notes on notes. And I get to the test, and on the whiteboard it says open notes. I was like, that's why he's harping on the notes.
He came into my room about 4 hours into his note taking and is like, I am 4 hours into this and I am only 3 sections in. Like, I'm going to be here all night.
And I didn't get back until like 11:30. I was like, I'm so tired.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then
I was still up.
I had to
by the
wake
way.
up. Yeah, I had to wake up at 5 the next morning because I had to finish my medieval world assignment. And I got that done. I woke up at 5:30.
Yeah.
I didn't get out to the living room until like 6. I was like, dude, do I really want to do this?
Like,
And
I was up at that point because we had morning practice.
I was like, this isn't good. I'm tired. Hey, everything's done. Don't know about my test score yet because he hasn't graded it yet. There's no school tomorrow because I guess there's a teacher in service day like high school, so I'm not really complaining. So hopefully we get the test tomorrow. So what's a goal for you? Cutting you short.
Oh, no, I was done. I was
Okay.
I guess one of my biggest goals would be to teach one more person. I'm currently teaching one right now on the sprinting team, but to keep teaching more and more people.
Don't look at me like that, Hunter.
I want to teach more people about race walk because it's unfortunately a dying sport, and even the Olympics, it's disappearing from the Olympics. They just got rid of the 50K race walk, which is so devastating. It's a race walk steeple. It is so it's sad. But I would love to just kind of give my knowledge of what I'm getting right now and hopefully teach someone else how to race walk or even just what it is and hopefully kind of give race walk a little bit more clout, a little more than what it has now, and hopefully boost the reputation of race walk. It's not just like that silly little walk, silly little Sunday stroll. It's a whole
Grandma
science
waits.
to it. There's a whole science behind it.
It's a Sunday stroll and a half.
Just a half. But yeah, I really want to kind of spread the word of race walk if I can.
Last question.
Oh.
What is your favorite quote or Bible verse that you know on top of your head?
My favorite quote is from the legend Stephen Prefontaine.
Oh,
Nathan
yeah.
knows a lot about that guy. The quote reads, "Today, or the best pace is a suicide pace, and today is a great day to die." The reason I like that quote is because obviously it pertains to running. It's on the back of one of our shirts from high school, but they almost didn't let us put it on there because it had suicide in the quote. But since it was a running quote, they let us have it. But I like the quote because it kind of, I relate to it a lot because when you're running like 400 or 800, you're going fast, right? Like you're moving. So suicide pace, obviously fast. But I like to think of it as if I die during this race, then I gave it my all. If I don't die during this race, then I know I still have work to do. So it tells me that I'm either done with all the work that I had to do or I still have work to do, so I got to keep pushing myself. So that's why I like that quote.
Nice. I would say probably a quote that I stick by that my high school chemistry teacher taught me.
What's his name again?
Brad Diedick.
Thanks,
Diedick.
Brad Diedick.
Brad
Mr. Brad. Yeah. He told me this isn't the exact wording, but something on the realms of no matter what happens in a race, if you have to run, if you can keep running, run. But if you have to walk, walk. If you have to crawl, crawl. But no matter what, just finish the dang race. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about the time. Just finish the race because at least you can say that
You ran.
That you ran.
Finished.
You accomplished something. You're doing something that not many people can really do. I know not many people can, run a 10K.
Not many people can compete as a college athlete.
Yeah, and it's such a privilege to be able to really do this. So no matter what, just really be grateful and really kind of don't take those advantages and those opportunities for granted. Really have fun with it and really do your best to give it your all, no matter what.
Pressure is privileged.
Yeah.
All right. Wrapping up. Where can they find you? Social media. If you're an ambassador of someplace, where can they find you?
Most of my socials are all the same. Most of them are under @Paulie Keller. So just because that's what everybody's been calling me since 5th grade, so that's kind of just.
Is there a backstory?
Not really. It was kind of just random. So my older brother, I think this is the origin story. Not 100% sure. It kind of just started. But so obviously my name is Connor. Last initial or first letter of my last name is K. Put that together, and then it's like, if you say it as one letter, it sounds like the last name of a baseball player that used to play. And his name was Paul Konerko, who used to play on the White Sox. So I believe that what he did, because we used to play MLB The Show, so I'm pretty sure that he put that together and was like, Connor K, Konerko, Paulie. I think that's how it went. I'm not 100% sure.
It's the story we're going with today.
Yeah, that's what we're going to go with.
So Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, what social medias do you have?
Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I'm not really on Twitter, but I have it because I like to look at funny things that people say on Twitter. That's about it, really, for me. I mean, I have TikTok too, but I don't post on it. I just watch.
What about you, Nathan?
I have Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. I also work at a vet clinic. So if you need your animals taken care of, I'm here for you.
He works at a vet clinic.
I work at a vet clinic.
Hey, mom, look, I have a dog.
He has a dog and a vet.
You need dog food? I got it.
See,
cat food? I got it.
I am set when I'm down here for a year, so don't have to worry about it.
Just ask for
And I have
me.
the dog.
Exactly. So, and shots will be taken care of. Just mom,
Yep.
listen real quick. I'm getting the dog.
It's happening.
Yeah,
you have no, you get no say in this.
Here's the part. Okay, he said it'll be available February of sometime next year. Right.
Ish.
February-ish.
They were just
March-ish.
born like yesterday, so they'd be probably around this time next year too.
So,
Yeah.
mom, listen. I won't be doing stuff in the summer. I can train over the summer. I'll be living in Madison, so I can have the dog. I'll get some dog food. I'll be set. All right, what else?
Anyways.
Anyways.
That's pretty much it.
So anyways, back to the dogs.
Not the dog. I'm getting the dog. With that being said, thank you for listening. And as always, stay healthy.